Hey there YouTubes, this is Grimweird coming back at you with more MC Eternal mod pack playthrough action for Minecraft 1.12.2. And let's see, got a bit done between episodes. So first I want to talk about the GUI situation. So I've been sort of struggling with video settings. So the default MC Eternal basically has three sizes: this auto, small, normal, and large. And large is not quite large enough for me, and auto is too damn large. So I was really missing this slider that allowed you to get to other things. So I stopped by my Enigmatica 2 expert world and realized, oh hey, there's that slider that I'm missing. And I looked it up, and it is called, it is from a mob called Tip the Scales. So if we go mod options, Tip the Scales, there it is. So what I did was I went to Curse and I downloaded the jar file .jar for Tip the Scales. You can see it allows for more control when adjusting the GUI size. That's all it does as far as I'm available. Thank you, Jared. No child mods, no craziness, and I just dropped the jar file into the MC Eternal instance mod folder. And boom, it worked. No fiddling, no problems. Everything is beautiful. And so now things are more appropriately sized. I can see plenty of stuff over here, and it's big enough. I can see plenty of stuff over there. I'm having less overlap between these buttons and those buttons. Everything looks good. And I'd actually probably go with a size 5, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it at size 6 since I'm filming for YouTube, just to make the tooltips in the top left corner a little bit more readable for anyone who wants to see what I'm pointing at. So that's one good thing. That was a quality of life thing there that had been really bugging me. So when last we talked, I'd made a bunch of calcium sulfate. I was gearing up to try and make a nuclear fusion core. So I made the core, made a bunch of transparent fusion electromagnets, was all set up to do a nice old big nasty nuclear fusion reactor. In fact, I wanted to put it somewhere far away from my base, since it might cause some sort of radiation problems to the chunk. So if we take a look here, this is where I am, my home base. But my actually starting spot was way out on this desert island, in a little mud hut over here. We got a couple pirate ships, we got a meteor that hit the island, and I was up on top of this hill. So I thought, hey, I could just go way back there. So I glided over there with my squid ring and my glider, and I built a huge base under it. And if we teleport over there using an Osgoglass handle, brown magic on a obsidian battle sign, which I have renamed in the Forge Fusion Reactor. And again, there are simpler and easier ways to teleport around, but I just sort of like doing the Osgoglass thing. And you can see I made up a big old thing here. If we check the chunks, I'm probably going to set it up over in this corner. And then if I make it bigger or expand it, depending on how much power we need, we will spill over into these other chunks. And I'm sort of digging the unfinished ceiling, so I might leave that like that. So I was all prepared to set this up, and I started reviewing. That's why I visited my my Enigmatica 2 world, because I just wanted to take a look at how I had my fusion reactor set up there. And I realized that I have nowhere near enough power to set this thing up and ignite it. In Enigmatica 2 Expert, I had a couple thousand RF per tick coming in from electromagnets, but then I had an interim step of getting tens of thousands of power from an ethylene-fueled advanced generator. And I sort of need that interim power step here, because the 150 million power that we had stored in here, and the 2400 a tick that we have coming from here is just nowhere near enough to ignite my fusion reactor and make sure everything is stable. So there's two ways to handle that. You can keep your lousy power supply coming in at 2400, but then just save up for quite a few days to get like a huge storage. Or you can really up your incoming power by going to a sort of a more of a mid-game power supply. And I wanted to just go ahead and do both. So here I have got an induction matrix from Mekanism. This is just a 4x4x4 cube with a couple of induction. It's got a couple of the elite induction cells in it, so that's what is that? That's 51.2-ish, 51.2-ish giga RF, or 51.2-ish billion RF that it'll hold. And I also put a couple of the elite induction providers so that I can output up to, whatever 1.63 times 2 is. And we didn't have quite all the materials I needed to get up to ultimate induction cells, but we will have that at some point in the future. So if we click on this, you can see I'm at 2 giga RF out of 51.2 giga RF. My input here, you can see my input coming from my thermoelectric guys at 2.4 kilo RF or 2400 RF. And then I've got an output of 1.4. That's a combination of my ME system and my laser miners, which is going on downstairs. And then if we hover over this, does that tell us anything new? No. If we hover over this, 4x4x4, 2 cells, 2 providers, and that means that there are like 4 empty spots on the inside. Is that right? Yes. Yeah, I think that's about all I want to say about that. So this thing is filling up slowly but surely. Let's see. So this says we have 5 gig. And this says we have 2 gig. So I may have to fiddle with it. I wanted to put in a screen so that I could, easily see from anywhere in the room how much power I have and whether it was going positive or negative. So I do have a RFTools screen here set up, and I might have to double check where it's set up, because this is saying 2 gig and this is saying 5 gig. All right, well, I'll double check on that. This wall is just, I was making myself a Yaba barrel for another project, and I'd never really played around with the decorative aspects of the Yaba barrels. So you can make these decorative blocks for pretty cheap, and then you can take those decorative blocks and use hammers to change the shape and painters to do this. But I never really played with any of that. But if you right click in space, you can choose what shape it's going to be, whether it's the normal barrel, the normal decorative block, or you can, also do things like this. And boom, there's no durability use, no energy cost, no nothing. So I thought that was pretty cool. And you can even make slabs out of it. So that was pretty cool. And that in and of itself was cool. Yeah, let's change all that back to this block. But what really surprised me, because I'd never played with this system, was the painter. You can shift right click that into space, and you can make it look like any of this stuff for free. No durability on the tool, no cost, no nothing. Infinitely changeable. If I want to turn this all into black stained glass, boom, it's black stained glass. If I want to turn it into, say, demon metal, still molten demon metal, as opposed to flowing demon metal, boom, I can do that. Whatever this glazed terracotta is. That's ugly. Diamonds. So I was surprised by how versatile and cheap and easy this is. So that's going to really up my decoration game. So that's why I have those 4 things in the wall. I want to make sort of maybe, I don't know what I want to do with it. I haven't really processed the possibilities yet. It even has some wacky stuff like cobwebs. I sort of like the cryotheum. It has both flowing gelid cryotheum and still gelid cryotheum. So you can do stuff like that. Anyway, so I might play around with that a bit and get some more decorating done. Fortunately, it's not all just, gray stone bricks, but it is pretty bland. There's a lot of white marble walls and a lot of black floors. So the place is a little monotonous from a decoration front. Anyway, so I had never played with that and found it pretty awesome. So I'm going to play around with that more in the future. So I can't kick off my fusion core from Nuclearcraft, so I need more power and more storage. I've already talked about the more storage. Now we're going to talk about more power, and that is up here. So a lot of things came to mind. I could have, used some sort of builder from RFTools to suck up a bunch of nether lava and put that through magmatic generators. I could have tried some Mekanism pressurized reaction chamber PRC, turning melons into biofuel into ethylene and then burning the ethylene. I could have done a bunch of other stuff, a lot of which I've already done once and wasn't that enthused about. But when I was looking around for options, I came across a system that I had never used that I thought sounded pretty cool, and that is Endogenic Generators from RFTools, which we've got one of these in the corner. So what I've got going on here, this is a design copied from a YouTube video from a YouTuber named Uemori. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. It sounds Japanese, but it is Uimori. So if you Google him as a user on YouTube and look for his Endogenic generator, you can see in the mouse tooltip in the top left, Endogenic Generator. This is basically the system that he came up with, or that he modified from somebody else. I also did read through there's a wiki page on Endogenic generator systems, so I read through that, and I watched another couple videos on basic Endogenic stuff just to figure this thing out. It is pretty darn complicated, especially if you're not familiar with RFTools, which I haven't used RFTools to do anything serious in like 6 years. So I'm not going to run you through how this is all set up, because you should go check out that Uemori video if you want to see how he put this all together. But I will go through the basic ideas. The basic ideas are, you have a pearl injector, and what the pearl injector does is it injects a pearl into this first endogenic generator. And then how these make power is, as you know, if you right click on ender pearls, you teleport. Well, these things will actually pass ender pearls from station to station in a loop. So you link one generator to the next, and then that one to the next, and then that one to the next in a big loop. And if you get everything timed just right, so that they are going through doink, doink, doink real fast in a big loop, it generates lots of power. And getting that timing all done is what I copied because I did not know. But basically we got a timer here set at 60, pause while redstone is active. That 60 is 3 seconds. And then that goes into a redstone transmitter on channel 1, which we then took these redstone receivers, 12 of them, and right clicked onto that to get them all set to channel 1. So these all receive redstone signal from that transmitter and send them into these sequencers. And these sequencers, set at once 2, will say when it does stuff. So this is on the 11th tick, or no, that's the 9th tick, and then 19th tick, and 21st tick, or hour, whatever the numbers are, it will fire. And we'll send a redstone signal or a sequence, whatever, to these guys. And there's actually 2. There's a set around the bottom pointing in, and then a set of sequencers around the top pointing in with redstone cable activating these sequencers. In here we've got 2 redstone or ender monitors. These ender monitors monitor what's going on here for the loops, and then either input or output signals, which then help all of this stuff go and do timing. And then I'm collecting power out the bottom. These things can peak at around, these are 100% infused, I should mention that. So the Endogenic Generators are all 100% infused with dimensional shards through the machine infuser. And so these things can generate several thousand power per tick if the ender pearls survive that long. And so since the what am I trying to say here? If the ender energy conduits will only hold a little over 20,000 RF per tick. So just to make sure that I never overloaded any conduits, I wanted to go ahead and put a bunch of plugs. So that's why there's so many plugs in the bottom here. The other thing you can do is just put like a bunch of RFTools energy cells, or put, I guess what are they called? Power cells, or the any of your energy cells or energy cubes or power cells or any of that under there as buffers. But I want this all to go straight into my induction matrix, so that's why I've got a bunch of flux network plugs down there to collect all the power. So that's basically it. You've got a bunch of redstone receivers and sequencers, or redstone conduits and receiver and sequencers up here, and all of that hullabaloo is just built around keeping the hot potato moving in a circle. So let's take a look at what that does. So we're going to send pearls in here. Go ahead and put a bunch in there. Going to the pearl injector. And now you can actually see a graphic. We've got a pearl going in a circle. And now every once in a while that pearl's going to die. And we're going to see a pause. So there's a pause. If we do it here so we can see the screens, you can see RF per tick, the bottom green line. If the pearl lasts long enough, you'll see we get up to 6912 RF per tick. RF lost is 0. That means everything is going good. We want everything to say last pearl at 10, and we want the RF loss to be 0. And then basically, as soon as often, the RF per tick is a average over the last 5 seconds. But basically, if we have a pearl last over 5 seconds, that's when we get the RF per tick coming up to 6912. And they don't last that long necessarily. You get a random pearl lost It makes it anywhere from like a couple of circuits around the 11 generators up to, I think I've seen it do like 20 or so. But there you see we got up to 6912 again because we kept it going for 5 seconds. So that's how this looks. Ooh, lag spike. And then occasionally when it does stop, you can see, let's see the error message for a random pearl lost. There it goes. This guy, random pearl discarded. So the pearls don't last forever. Like all fuels, they have a cost, or a system to them. And so every once in a while, see there's another one, random pearl discard. But if you have a robust ender pearl farm, like a powered spawner or a mob duplicator, I think you can keep up with this pretty easy. Let's go ahead and put a few more of these in here for now. And let's go take a look at what that looks like on my power system. So remember, these guys are all of these thermoelectric generators plus this Spectre coil as a quest reward that I got. This whole thing is doing 2400 RF per tick. Now, if we take a look at what's going into my system here, you can see that when a pearl is going, I'm at 79,200 RF per tick pretty steadily. Not quite that. I think it's actually going to be a little bit less than that. And then when a pearl dies, I go down to 2400 RF per tick for a minute, down to our baseline. So this is 2400 plus an active ender pearl. So we're making around, I don't know, 76,000 RF per tick when a pearl is spinning through our 11 Endogenic Generators. So there's like 79,200. I think that hiccup where it goes from 79 down to 59 something might be just how the loop is handled. And that pearl is lasting a good while. And then any moment now, that pearl is going to die on us, be randomly discarded. That's a strong pearl. And there it goes. Now we're down to 2400 while the next pearl comes in. So that's what this looks like. And that's a decent amount of power. And that's why I am up to however many gigs I have. Which over here it says it's 2.3 gigs. Let's take a look at this and figure out if we can get this to act better. So this is an energy card. The energy card, if we click on a spot, so we shift right click, energy module is cleared. Now we're going to shift right click again. No. So you got to, with the induction matrix is a little hard since it's a multi-block structure. So it doesn't want to click on the outer. You have to click it on one of these guys. And I think I had it set to one of the ports. Let's take a look. Okay, it's still saying lots. Let's clear it and try the other kind of port. So that's an output port. Let's try a one set to induction. I'm pretty sure I got this to work right. And it's still saying I got 6. Whereas this is saying I've got 2.4. Alright, well, we'll tinker around a bit with that. Let's see if we get in here. What happens if we look at... Oh, that's sort of useful. That'll tell me if it's going up or down. Although that doesn't look right either, does it? Alright, so I'll have to play around with this a bit. For now, let's go ahead and... Percentage? 4%. Go ahead and leave it on this and just know that it's off, and I'll play around with that and see if I can get it working. I think this worked in my Enigmatica 2 expert world, so I might jump over there and see what I clicked on and how I had it set up to report out what was in the induction matrix correctly. One last thing I can try is doing one of the plugs. That ain't doing nothing. Alright, well, we'll fiddle around a bit with this some more. Like I said, I'm sure I had it working in Enigmatica 2 Expert, so the only thing I can think of is there is an Energy Screen Plus module, and so maybe I use the Energy Screen Plus module, and maybe it handles multi-blocks better or has some different setting. I just use the energy one because it's 4 RF per tick cost here, as opposed to 40 RF per tick. But I'll take a look and get that figured out. Alright, so we've talked a bit about power. We want to get this bad boy nice and high. So I'm probably going to let this run for a couple days and get some power built up. And then once we've got this reasonably charged up, we will attempt to fire up the nuclear reactor core over on our starter island. And then we should have plenty of power. Let's see, what else was I going to talk about? I did run around a bit, and let's do that. I was watching some gameplay video from another YouTuber, I forget who. Might have been Lashmak, Lashmak. I was trying to see if there was anything that I wanted to do with bewitchment, and he had an episode where he was looking into bewitchment. And I noticed that he found a village with a bunch of hedge witches in them, and that those hedge witches would actually sell mystical agriculture seeds. So I thought that was sort of interesting. So I went and looked at all the villages that I have mapped. And is this the one that has hedge witches in it? Yeah, they're there. So the hedge witches are these guys. They have sort of dark green, or they have sort of bluish, I guess you'd call it, robes with green mossy shoulders. Hedge witches. And if you look through here, they will do things like juniper berries for bewitchment and elderberries, and occasionally Pam's harvest grass seeds, more bewitchment stuff, including some of the saplings I think you need to get into. And occasionally they also have mystical agriculture seeds. So this guy has some lumium seeds, owlets, rings, blah, blah, blah. They also occasionally have some of these tools or weapons from bewitchment that I think might be useful for harvesting stuff. Spanish moss, don't know what that is. Ironwood seeds. A hellish bauble. So I don't know how much that is, but anyway, the bottom line is I visited a bunch of these guys, made trades with them, usually just buying seeds here and there. Boron seeds, until I opened up all of their stuff. Ceremonial dagger also allows you to obtain special loot from mobs. Deals extra damage to undead. Iridium seeds, dragon egg seeds. So I bought a bunch of dragon eggs. I bought him out of dragon egg seeds because I thought they were important. Turns out you don't really use dragon eggs for anything here. So that was sort of a waste, but what the heck. Sheep seeds. And one of the guys around here, maybe it's this guy over here, had diamond seeds. Oh, this is the Lumium guy again. Silver, cotton, and diamonds. So a bunch of tier 5 diamond seeds. And it says, do all mystical agriculture quests to unlock. Well, I did buy all these seeds from this guy, and they work. So I haven't set it up yet, but I did test it. I put one of them in a garden cloche and ran it, and it did make diamond essence. So there you go. If you are into mystical agriculture and you sort of want to get a jump on stuff, I can highly recommend when you're out exploring, watch for these villages that have a bunch of hedge witches. The other village, only 2 out of like 12 had all these hedge witches. The other one also had a bunch of druids. Those druids are from some other mod, I forget which one. But that was another interesting thing that I did in between episodes, was I got myself a bunch of random seeds. And I know I should probably be much farther into, and probably have done it much earlier, into mystical agriculture and agricraft. But the bottom line is I'm just not that interested in growing things. I have a lot more fun digging up stuff. Just looking around to see if there are any hedge witches I missed. But anyway, so there you go. If you are into mystical agriculture, and once you have a little bit of emeralds in your pocket, go look around for some free seeds. What next? Let's head on back and so I haven't been running this a ton, but we are now up to 3 gig. So I basically just finished our Endogenic Generator system right before this episode, and have been doing trial runs to get the settings just right. Sometimes you have to tinker with the sequencers. Basically, these are 10 ticks apart, which is good, but sometimes you need to move when they happen just to get the timing dialed up. But this is the first time I've just put a couple stacks in there and let it go. So I'm sort of looking forward. In fact, let's go ahead and just dump all that in there. I'm sort of looking forward to see how fast my my supply grows. Now that I'm running that thing. Because most of that 2 gig actually came from, there was 150 million in my energy cell, which I dumped most of that into there. And then I let it run overnight. Then there was testing. About 1 gig of this came from all the testing I did with Ender Pearls while I was playing around with and setting up that system. So I'm only just now starting to run it. And it seems to be doing a good job. I mean, we're already almost up to 3 billion or giga RF. Which reminds me, so I haven't set up the automatic supply of Ender Pearls yet, so I do need to change that around. So what I've got going on there is, if you'll remember from earlier episodes, I have just an Ender spawner, not a mob duplicator, not a powered spawner, but an actual, if we turn the light on, I have got an actual Enderman spawner that I captured with a sack of holding in there with a actual blaze spawner. Now the problem with these spawners is that my base over there is too far away for them to work. And I don't want to stay within, 2 chunks or so of these all the time. So I need to either turn this into a powered spawner. I do have a powered spawner prepped. I just got to install it, or a mob duplicator, so that I can have a constant stream of ender pearls coming in. So probably what I'm going to do is change out that blaze one and that enderman one with a powered wither skeleton and a powered enderman, and then I'll throw that in there. You can see even with full light, the blaze guy still pops off occasionally. But here is a barrel. You can tell this is one of those Yaba barrels that I was playing around with the shapes and the contours, and I thought that looked sort of cool. So it's got the texture of flowing resonant ender, and then it's got ender pearls, and I have got 36,000 ender pearls, so that ought to last me a while. This is turning into a rat's nest of wiring, so I got to get all this sorted out too in between episodes. But basically, I've got another ender chest here that is going to be hooked up, and so what I can do is probably I'm going to go put this next to my Energistic thing, and then set up the ender chest here with a filter to suck out the ender pearls. And so I had 30-some thousand in here from all of my earlier work with this mob farm. And I've gotten about 3,000 since. So yeah, we've got plenty of that. Let's go ahead and turn this lights back off. And let's make sure that this isn't filling up. That all looks good. I emptied this out not too long ago, so it should be okay. Or emptied most of it out. I've got about all of the Electroblob stuff that I need. Haven't gotten any new spell books. Only the Novice, Apprentice, and Advanced. I haven't gotten any Master spell books, or any Twilight Forest spell books out of this monster farm. So basically, the only Electroblob stuff I'm really worried about now is what are these called again? Magic crystals, which I've already got them voided out and have enough of them. 4,000 is probably more than I will ever use through my wand. So I'm probably going to start sending all of this to trash. In fact, let's just go ahead and do that now, so that doesn't back up. Same thing here. I've probably got enough of I was repairing these and melting these down for refined glowstone ingots and refined obsidian. I've probably got all of that I ever need because I got a box of that stuff over here. Also, I was occasionally pulling enchantments off of these if there were enchantments that I wanted. So I was pulling that off with a cyclic de-enchanter or whatever it's called. But I've probably got enough of that. So I'm probably going to start voiding all of this Mechanism tool stuff. I've already been trashing all of the lapis lazuli and the steel stuff because it's too much of a pain to try and... Lapis can't be recycled really, and the steel one I think can only be recycled through an immersive engineering recycler, which I don't really feel like I need to make. So I think for right now, hello. Occasionally those ghosts go flying through here. I don't know what these do, if anything, but they bother me. I guess for right now it wouldn't hurt to set this up. Let's go ahead and item conduits, there's one. Let's see, we want to make that always active. Make that insert. Repair the floor. I could have pulled out a wrench, but whatevs. Speaking of wrenches, I don't need this in my offhand anymore. I'll leave it there a bit longer. I want to take one more look over there and make sure everything's going fine with my this guy. Still trying to get a feel for how many loops it likes to make. It's 1, 2, so it only didn't even quite make it through 2. That one made it through about 25 loops. There's 11 generators there, so 260 some ticks of power, so that's pretty good. This should be filling up now. Do I have this always active? I do. This is filling up. Alright, I think that's all set up and ready to go. Like I said, all I got to do now is swap out my normal Blaze and Enderman spawners with the powered Enderman and powered Wither skeleton so that I can load the chunk and power those now that I have some more power coming in, and get those running. This has a cost multiplier of 20x, which is why I wasn't in too big of a hurry to do it. We'll have to see how much power those guys are costing. But yeah, now that I'm letting that run, we're going up pretty quick here. We were right at about 3 before we went and visited the mob farm, and now we're approaching 3.5. So that was another 500 million RF per tick coming out of the Endogenic Generators. Alright, so I'm going to pause now, and now that we've got that going on, we've just got to let that run for a day or two before we get the Nuclearcraft Fusion thing going up. So the next thing, sort of my next priority, is I think maybe get an angel ring. So I think I have most of the stuff I need for that, except for I gotta make be able to make mechanism crystals. So I gotta make a bunch of mechanism machines and do the crystals there. I can make that. I have 4 or 5 of these. We defeated the Snow Queen last episode. The Betweenlands. So we got to get into the Betweenlands. So I've been sort of looking at that. I've never played with the Betweenlands before. But first thing we got to do is set up a tree that has a portal into it, I guess. And it's a big gnarly, it's a big gnarly tree, and we need big gnarly stuff. I don't know what we do. So I'm going to pause the video here, and we got to pick a place to put our tree, possibly. Hey, buddy. Probably going to put it out here somewhere, relatively close to base. But then I'll just make like an Osgolglass teleporter, like a sign for the Betweenlands. I don't know what it is or what it does. It's just a really big tree. But maybe I'll clear off this lump of land here and center it right about here. And then we will be able to get into the Betweenlands and start playing around there. And it seems to have its entire own progression where you got to make your own torches out of material. You got to make all your machines and tools and weapons and stuff out of materials from the Betweenlands, and make your own food there. So I'm going to look into that. And probably the rest of this episode we'll just set it up, get our tree started, and go into the Betweenlands, and maybe do some initial looking around, and then I'll do some more exploring and more building in between this episode and the next while we wait for our power to get filled up. And so maybe the next episode we'll try and find the sludge boss that drops this ring of dispersion. Alrighty, I'll be back in a moment. I gotta figure out how to make that tree to the Betweenlands. Okay, after a little bit of Betweenlands investigation, there doesn't appear to be any book or information here in the game, so I did take a look at here, the Betweenlands, and it doesn't really say what to do to get there. And then I also looked for books. I had a copy of a book that was the herb lore book. I can't remember if I made that or if it came with the Akashic Tome when I made it. But it just has a bunch of potion recipes and stuff in it. So while I'd been out exploring before, I had found stone rings Betweenlands and marked those. And there were some dark druids there, and I shot a couple and got a swamp talisman piece. Well, it turns out we need to go back there and kill 3 more of those guys. So let's get after it. And we're not going to fly over the nuclear wasteland. Just looking around for anything else I might have missed here. I haven't dug up a lot of these graveyards like that have the treasure chests under them and maybe keys and etc. Like these where you see the the various gravestones. I haven't dug up a lot of that yet, so I should probably do more of that. Here's the Maracoa Village that we whooped the guy and took his mask. Seems pretty deserted now. And basically what we're looking for is these stone rings inside a swamp biome. I'm in a default world sort of by accident, but that means I'm just looking for plain old swamp in biomes of plenty. There might be multiple different places where you could find this, I'm not sure. Oh, hey, and there's another one. Oh, no, that's the one I marked. Alright, so when we get close to this, I think they're under somewhere in here, unless I killed it already. There's going to be a Dark Druid spawner, and the Dark Druids damage you, and then they also cause you to float up in the air and then fall to the ground. So be prepared for that. We got to come in here and I may have killed the spawner already. Oh, it startled me. There's our huckleberry. Up, and we got the quest done. Alrighty, so now we're just watching for 2 more talisman points. Or, oh, and there he levitated me. We got 3. Where you at? And 4. Alright, so now we got to figure out sort of where the spawner is, I think. Oops. Is it under here? That would make a certain amount of sense. Monster spawner, yes. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can capture that in a sack of holding, just in case I need another one of these bad boys, or, you know, need to do something else. I don't think I can capture it. Oops, I'm not on it. Hey, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and put it over here just to make sure I can put it back down again. Hey, I can. Love me a sack of holding. Alrighty, so now that we've got our 4 pieces here, we need to put that in here. Let's see, click on that. Boing, 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 boing. Whoa. And now it's doing in a thing. Cool. And now we have made our swamp talisman. Another quest completed. Yay us. And I think we're about done here. I sort of want to steal all this junk, but I'll leave it alone just in case. Alright, so now we need to take a sapling. I don't think it matters what kind. So we will just grab a oak sapling. And this tree is fairly big, so it might look a little weird out here, but if so, I can fill in some blocks on it underneath it. It might be as big as like a 5x5. I didn't really pay attention when I Googled it, but reasonably large. And I think we want to get rid of any grass blocks and whatnot too. And yes, I realize I am mining dirt with my pickaxe, but it's fast enough that it's not worth getting my shovel out. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and clean up some of this grass, just to make sure that doesn't interfere with the generation of the tree. Vein mine some of this, some of that. Alright, and then roughly pick a center spot here. And is that centered? Roughly. Doink. And I'm going to stand back with my reach and... Whoa! Okay. Well, that was exciting. And there you go. It is a big beast. Much bigger than 5x5 when you have all the roots coming out. But how does it look? Doesn't look too bad. I think we'll just clean it up a bit with... support the roots here a bit. It's okay that it looks like it's trying to escape the hill. Alright, let's stand back and take a look at this beast. That's a spooky, cool looking tree. So let's go ahead and I probably should do some prep. So it sounds like your food goes spoiled. I think it turns back when you come back, but your food spoils, torches don't work, yada yada yada. Weedwood sapling. That probably falls so that you can, I think your tools are like super slow, and there's other problems. But what the heck, let's just go ahead and go on in. So I think when you're in here, get rid of some of this garbage real quick. Keep the talisman just in case. I should have kept the sapling. But what do we do here? I think we stand. Oh yeah, we stand and the vision twists. That's cool. Caverns, wilderness. So this is a dimension apparently. Apparently where some force called decay has warped and mutated everything. And so you can see little cracks of sunlight here and there. All of my stuff is gone. And I can't see anything. Okay, there's my stuff. Okay, so that was just World Gen. Alright, ooh, we got some advancements, but we also got a ton of monsters outside, if I'm reading my mini-map right. So let's go out this side. Marsh 1. Now, I did read that if you start in certain biomes, and I'm guessing this is one of them, that you should just get out. So I think what we're going to do is, there's lots of critters in the water. Does my ring work here? Does my glider work here? What are we up against? Okay, so the squid ring works. And the glider works. So let's do a quick circle here. There appears to be a that's not a good thing. That appears to be the final boss on a battle tower that has sunk into the ground. And my bow does not seem to, oh, it seems to just be really slow. Disturbing ambient noises. That may be this thing getting ready to crash. Oh, and it is. Alright. So I momentarily forgot that the battle towers, once you kill the Guardian, they die. It fell over and sank into the swamp. Little Monty Python-esque thing there. Alright, so let's get, man, I got all sorts of stuff. Tide Guardian. Curdling Station. Alright, let's get my Ender pouch out here. Anything that isn't Betweenlands. Okay, clay, don't need that. Solidified experience, paper. A 4.1 for slice and splice. Gotta remember to put that in my machine. Magic hood, I don't need. Melon seeds. That I don't need. That I don't need. Swamp reed from the Betweenlands. Curdling station. All our food looks rotten because of we're in the Betweenlands, but I think it'll go back to being normal. when it's in the other dimension. Don't need that. Don't need those. Don't need that. Don't need an ender. Alright. So anywho, well, that was a we made a hole. And one thing I might be able to do is I might be able to build a ring around that to get rid of the swamp water, to dry out that swamp water if it's not infinite pool already. It probably is. I was thinking that might be a good way to get down to the bottom. But we should probably go find someplace else to do cave diving around here. Well, this place is pretty, I'll give it that. There are bugs, there are fireflies, there's some cool looking trees. Let's see, patchy islands. We're already hungry, and I can't see my decay bar because my armor toughness is over it. Okay, so deep waters is one of the ones I'm not supposed to set up a base in. And Marsh 1 probably wouldn't work either. We need to find some solid ground, essentially. And before we do that, should probably mark this on our map. Oh hey, is that a sludgeon? A sludge dungeon off in the distance? Maybe not. Might just be, yeah, it's just sky texture. Well, it looks like we had a pretty unlucky spawn in here in that we are surrounded by deep water and patchy islands, which make for a bad place to set up a base. I'm just going to make a quick circle here. I think I'm moving much slower with my glider. Feels like it, at least. So I think all of the non-Betweenlands gear and movement and stuff gets slowed down. Definitely there was a ton of lag and slowness on my bow. What's this area? Is this more patchy islands? Marsh 0. Great, they've got multiple different types of marsh. Marsh 1, Marsh 0. Somewhere around here there should be some solid land for us to build on. Maybe in here? Okay, swamplands. So this is looking pretty solid. Lots of mud, so the mud slows you down, from what I recall. This place definitely has lots of character and lots of mood, and a whole bunch of new critters and plants and what have yous. That place looks interesting. and the fact that you sort of need to make all new machines and stuff is sort of interesting. Stuff that works in this in these biomes, in this dimension. That's pretty cool. Alright, well, we're probably getting on towards the end of the episode, so I'm going to just go ahead and sort of complete a circuit here real quick. Again, sort of just looking for more solid ground. Is that the dungeon with our boss in it? Yes, I believe this is the dungeon we want to get the last piece of our angel ring. This is all some sort of huge quest thingy. I didn't want to spoil it too much for myself, but you gotta light those braziers up top and then tune all of these mirrors to, and there's another one. Tune all the mirrors to different angles to shoot the light down in there to open the dungeon, and then go down in the dungeon and fight a bunch of critters and get the boss and yada yada. So that all sounds like good fun. But we are a long way from solid land, so we might just have to build our own solid land. As long as I'm willing to cheese it and use my squid ring and glider, it's not too horrible. Which I am. Alright, let's head on back. Got all sorts of anglerfish and critters eating the anglerfish. That all looks cool. Let's see if we can tell anything from the map here. Let's see, yada yada. Day and night doesn't seem to matter much. Yeah, it's not really telling us. It's telling us what the vanilla biomes would be, so we'd have to sort of fly around more if we want to find solid land. But let's give that a pass for now. Apache Islands should be, and the swamplands should be good enough to form a base on. That'll give us at least some solid ground. Here's a galumphing something or other. I might go ahead and go back to the hedge witches and or hedge wizards or whatever they were called, and buy that. I think it was called an athame, A-T-H-A-M-E, however you would pronounce that. So that we have a weapon that works a bit better and faster here. And then we can take a look at gathering some materials and making some Betweenlands specific food and gear. But we'll have to wait until next time because I think we're about out of time here. Suppose we could pull up some of the wood in the floor of this to use. But for now, let's just make sure we can go home. And we made it home. Yay us. And my ring is turned off. Alrighty, we successfully got in. So we have, pardon me, need to cough. Alright, so we have some power brewing. We have some power storage. Things are still spinning in a circle here. Ender chest, and that is filled up. Make sure things are still working well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 loops. That ain't too horrible. So that seems to still be doing its thing. Our broken monitor has a few more billion, but let's see what we really got. 5.5 giga RF, or 5.5 billion RF. Not bad at all. So in our time in the Betweenlands, we got another couple billion. So this should fill up in a day or so. I'll probably leave it running tonight. And we should still have plenty of ender pearls. I don't think we're burning through them that fast, although I do want to go ahead and get this updated so that it keeps collecting ender pearls while I'm doing other stuff. And we're down a couple thousand ender pearls. Alright, so let's go ahead and what did I want to do? Let's go ahead and change this to never active. We'll start pulling stuff back into our drawers here. And I'm going to leave this off until I have a chance, probably later tonight or tomorrow morning, to upgrade our farm for more, for basically ender pearls when I'm not here to trigger monsters spawning. And with that, that should be about an episode. I just wanted to check one last thing, which was... Okay, so this rotten food, I think, is supposed to turn back into normal food. Oh, there it goes. So it went into my system as rotten food, but then came back out as the stuff that we had. So this was what I had, and we got some contaminated food from the Tower Guardian. And I wanted to remember to put that into my slice and splice. Oops, slice and splice. Very nice. Alright, that's an episode. I gotta look into what this thing is doing and if I can get a good screen reading out of the induction port. If not, I might have to just come over and check it every once in a while. But that's it. We've got more power, we've got more storage, and we've got a new dimension to explore. All in all, that's a lot of stuff. So, yeah. Talk to you next time. Bye.